abusuan like video share mo bi fofo na ono nso enye bi enhwe na chairman for the National Democratic Congress chairman Siedu Enketia edi nkomo edi akotu dwa se ne MPP for na hihya ase pushi third term agenda ma akofa nsem bebre edi aba na yenyina be kai a Uncle Ato Ahwoi ono nso ye pane a NDC amonyokuo no mu ono akiro krata bi a chese nwoma bi nsem a ewo nwoma no no de tutu nsem a Siedu Nketia eka ho a na chese Siedu Nketia nso so ahyeda ono nso so try so betimi asset confusion bi edi ato MPP amonyokuo no mu a chese enya asem keto na lawyer Paul Adom ochire timi breaki sansem no down wa odimu nchiremu aba enya asem keto akra yegibre na yenkotie bi na yenso yenche yadwen emfa ho.
Father Johnson, I said Nketia said something. You know, the reason why I don't like what he said is that I don't like when political history is butchered by serious and important people. And I'm not saying it's fault. I mean, that can happen anyway. But he said something that was serious. And he said it's a narrative that, and this is how I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. NDC people are going to come after me. This third term agenda, the NDC in this week's media, Johnson Asiedu Nketia grants an interview where he talks about internal NDC third term agenda. I think that people went to whip him up a little bit. He was not happy with it because he said, when you say you like John Mahama, then you are pro third. When you say you like third term agenda, then you are pro John Mahama. When you say you don't like third term agenda, you are anti John Mahama. Of course, referring to himself. He has made it clear that he's not interested in a third term agenda. I guess after that interview, he had trouble. So now he comes to another interview on Joy FM, big platform. And then he says that it is MPP who are doing it. I mean, for me, a political historian, I don't like that. It's not true. So, you know, by the grace of God, I'm going to counter Asiedu Nketia with Kwame Ahwoi. They are all NDC. And Obeda Samoa. And my book, which relied on this, because if I go and say, they say you are not there, how did you know? In fact, I wasn't there. So I looked at what Kwame Ahwoi said. And it's very different. Asiedu Nketia says it's MPP who have been doing it. And then he goes on to say that this is not new. During the Rawlings time, MPP did the same thing. And that is what happened. Right now, if you speculate that it's MPP who is doing the third term agenda for their own sake, we don't know. But then if you go historical and say that, oh, they even did it the Rawlings time, then you are trying to establish a certain trend to give credibility to the assertion today that it's MPP doing it. Nothing can be further from the truth. It's manifestly false. Now let's get to it. Play the video first. This is what he actually said. Let's listen to the video.
We've been there before. I don't know how old you were when President Rawlings was approaching 2000.
I covered that election, so.
The whole, very well. You remember the whole country was say, Akontabesi farm.
Yes.
You remember?
Yes.
Because of that Akontabesi farm, they put President Rawlings so much under pressure that whenever he sought to imply that he will hand over to anybody who won, people didn't believe.
Yeah.
And they were saying that no, this soldier man, he won't hand over. Even if he loses, he won't hand over. So the campaign deviated from policy to whether he will hand over or not hand over. So he was forced to declare in Swedru that if his vice president is contesting, he will support him. Just to settle the debate that he will not contest. Then that turned into a different thing.
Pseudo declaration. And
then they say pseudo declaration.
Split the party.
So the spin then started. And there was an implosion in our party. And the party split and we lost the election.
You think something similar is happening now?
I think those who are pushing this type of narrative, they want to tempt President Mahama to make some declaration in order to convince people that he's not coming, which may end up, you know, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes.
What happened is actually the exact opposite. And that's the same thing happening today. So let's get to the story. First of all, let me say of these three presidents, these were all the presidents who had a straight two-term. And it's customary when you are dealing with a nascent democracy like ours to give confidence to the system. So John Ajay Kufuor said he had occasion to say it, that I'm not running for a third term. This is it. President John Ajay Kufuor never formally pushed for a third term. On 22nd December 2007, at the NPP Delegates Congress, Kufuor said the victory of the Congress means that it's a direct statement that he is not actually running for president. He actually proceeded to say that this Congress is an indication to me that this is the beginning of the end of my tenure as flag bearer of the NPP. He also apologized, quote, for any act of commission and omission during the period of my stewardship, unquote, and urged the party to unite behind whoever won. The whole event was about handing over to a successor, not extending his term of rule. So President Kufuor did a customarily that, yes, I have 2 terms, I'm not running. So presidents of Africa and democracies like ours that say that I'm not running, it's not because somebody is thinking they are running. It is their obligation to do it, to sustain the democratic culture. It's not because somebody is saying, nobody was saying Kufuor is running a third term. Nobody said that. Nobody is saying Akufo-Addo was running a third term. But see what happened. On December 2021, official pledge. Nana Addo pledged to respect the 2-term limit in the 1992 Constitution and not run for a third term in 2024. This was ahead of the MPP deciding on his 2024 flag bearer. He granted an interview on Pure FM in Kumasi when he had gone to Ashanti region, where he said to Kwame Adinkra that he was not running for a third term. So Nana Akufo-Addo also promised that he's not running for it, not because somebody was saying that he's running for a third term. Now, let's get back to Asiedu Nketia and give me his photograph. Asiedu Nketia says that this whole third term agenda is coming from MPP this time against John Mahama, and that they want to force John Mahama to say something. That this is not the first time it happened. It happened then in 19. So he asked the interviewer, I don't know how old you are. And these days there's record. What is how old? Just show the thing to the man. What is the age we're going to use to understand things? I really don't. Not that I don't like it, but I get nervous when somebody, I don't know how old you are. I mean, I'm not old, but I can tell you the story of 1956 and how Ghana won independence because I read it. So I don't know how old you are there. It doesn't come into the conversation. Then I heard some interview on, I'm digressing a little bit, 1 minute. TV3, where somebody was telling Kwesi Butchie that you're a small boy. Why do we do that? When we started, if Ben Epson has told me I'm a small boy, and Kweku Bakun has said I'm a small boy, and Kwesi Pratt has said I'm a small boy, it won't work like that. I mean, who is small boy? The small boys are actually brilliant. We have to rely on them. So let's keep it cool, eh? All right. So let's come back to our dear Father Johnson. So then Johnson Asiedu Nketia says this matter. It's not true. Okay. Let me tell you why it's not true. So let's go to Kwame Ahwoi. Now, Kwame Ahwoi explains why the Sweden Declaration occurred. Not in one word, in several words. Kwame Ahwoi's explanation is corroborated by Dr. Obeda Samoa. Kwame Ahwoi's own is in page what? 140, I think. Is it 140? Yes, it's on page 140. Please, if you're at home and you have working with Rawlings, I have now obtained about 10 copies, I think, because today we had to go and buy new copies. And I see that they've sort of designed it. Congratulations, Uncle Kwame. So this is working with Rawlings, Kwame Ahwoi's book. Open to page 140, and that's what I'm going to read. You can go on your phone and check it if you are doubting, but you know that here we don't say things that are not true. All right. It was clear that there was no official NDC succession plan to follow President Rawlings' exit. Some put it bluntly that the NDC never allowed the party to develop institutionally to the point where it could develop or manage a succession. They were of the view that there existed elite conspiracies to secure Rawlings' endorsement within the context of a program of Rawlings' self-succession, either directly or by proxy. Please, viewers, I beg you, keep follow me. Kwame Ahwoi is saying something very intellectual and scholarly, and this is not what Asiedu Nketia is. Asiedu Nketia is saying the opposite. I believe Kwame Ahwoi. So he says that there was some things going on. Let me go on, you understand it. Rumors, he said, also abounded about unofficial succession plans that had been hatched or were being hatched by individuals or groups within the party. Kwame Ahwoi says these things were happening within the party. Asiedu Nketia comes and 26 years later tells us on television that it was MPP people and that the interviewer is not old enough to remember. This is Kwame Ahwoi writing about it. I love Ashanti Media, don't get me wrong, but I have to put these things. It's my work to do that, isn't it? Kwame Ahwoi said these things were happening within the party, the NDC party. One such rumor, he says, was to the effect that the NDC had a plan to enable President Rawlings to run for a third term. Rumor, let's move on. That plan would involve getting the Supreme Court to render a Rosemary Kwam type of judgment in which a plaintiff will be found to try to convince the court to interpret the Constitution to mean that presidents could run for more than 2 terms. This is Kwame Ahwoi. This was a strategy 26 years ago. Find somebody, go to Supreme Court, let them interpret it. I'm not saying it. This is Kwame Ahwoi. Forget about Ashanti Media. No, don't forget about him, but what he said is not being borne out here. All right. Another of such rumors involved plans for a straightforward attempt by the NDC government to amend the Constitution through a referendum to allow for presidents to run for more than 2 terms. Does that also sound familiar? I don't know. Let me move on. I was not aware of any such plans existing. I am sure that if there had been any such plans, I would have been one of the first to know. That I did not know must mean that there were no such plans. Okay. Kwame Ahwoi talks about what is happening, and being who he was in the scheme of things, he was the legal brain. He wasn't the attorney general, but he was the legal brain. So in the scheme of things, Kwame Ahwoi is saying that if they were thinking about a Supreme Court matter, or they were thinking about a constitutional amendment, I am one of those people who would know. That I didn't know means that these rumors may not have been true. Stay there with me. Let's move on. And then page 141 now, it says, however, and you know what the word however means. He says something, he said, however, hold it. Some people disagree with me. They argue that my non-awareness of efforts towards a third term for Rawlings did not mean that the option did not receive serious consideration among certain sections of the party. There you go. This is Kwame Ahwoi. He says, somebody came to tell him, however, that Kwame, the fact that you don't know that we are doing third term, it doesn't mean that we are not doing it. We were actually doing that. There were serious considerations among certain sections of the party. They think it only meant that that option was abandoned before my inputs were required. So Kwame Ahwoi is saying that those people are telling him that, Kwame, I bet you're a lawyer. We have to finish the Jaguda before we bring it to you. We are doing the kakla. That's how we do it in politics. And Miracles will tell you that's how they do it in politics. They finish the thing. When they finish cooking it, then, hey, lawyer, this is where we want to go. Take us there. And then lawyer will say, oh, we will get there, but it will take 2 weeks for the bill to lie in parliament and want to beat the lawyer up. 2 weeks, you think we have time? That's politics. So Kwame Ahwoi is saying they told him that, the fact that he didn't hear means that the thing died. Like it will reach your table. Anyway, let's move on. He says, according to this view, quote, there were many power blocks around President Rawlings. Another rumor unofficially, unilateral plan was for Nana Akufo-Addo Rawlings, the wife, to succeed her husband as NDC presidential candidate. What appeared to give credibility to the rumor was the reported arrival at the Tema Harbor of large consignments of T-shirts containing Kunedu for President's 2000 T-shirt and other Nana Akufo-Addo Rawlings paraphernalia. I, Kwame Ahwoi, however, did not have any evidence to support the rumor. Other NDC personalities who were rumored to be interested in succeeding President Rawlings included Dr. Obeda Samoa, Mr. J.H. Uswe Champong, and Alhaji Mahama Idrisu. Now, viewers, you put this in yellow because this is the most important part, and this is ending. He says, Rawlings appeared not to be too happy about all these ambitious conspirators orchestrating to take over the baton from him and conceived a plan to preempt these moves and nip the conspiracies in the bud. His aim appeared to be to curtail the simmering ambitions of all those persons who saw themselves as heir apparent. This, it appeared, was Rawlings's real reason for the Swedru Declaration. So this is the reason. So I say, Ketia should not blame MPP. And he should not tell a story that's not borne out by history. It's not true. that in 2000, MPP said Akuntabesi form. Akuntabesi form was an euphemism for excitement that Rawlings was leaving power. They didn't mean that we are pulling him off the chair. It was just people were happy that the soldier man is eventually gone. It's just an euphemism for it. It's not a big deal. So you don't come on Joy FM, NDC people, please forgive me, I beg you, your party chairman. It's a history I'm just putting right. I'm not denigrating him. I respect him, but the history, I have to put it right. This is my work. I'm a news reporter. So when I heard him, I quickly went back because I've read Kwame Ahwoi's book. So it occurred to me that, this is Asiedu Nketia is saying, I'm not sure. I pulled up the book I read. I said, yeah, sure. I'm right. I read the book. So this is what Kwame Ahwoi is saying. Now, the same thing is happening now. And I'm guessing, and forgive me to say, that I think Asiedu Nketia is trying to obscure that. Rawlings said there was infighting to succeed him. There was fighting to succeed him. And Ahwoi says that is why he came to do the Swedo Declaration, of course. And Rawlings was close to Ahwoi in those days. Asiedu Nketia was very far away. Ahwoi was in the saddle. I mean, he was dealing with the matter. So this is the same thing happening. John Mahama is talking and doing the things he's doing because there's too much fight to succeed him, including Asiedu Nketia. And I think he wants to draw attention away from that. So he brings and concocts a historical narrative that is false and not borne out by the record. It's not borne out by the history. It's not. I'm sorry, we have to do the work. It's not borne out by the history. It's so false, palpably false. And he's obscuring something which is actually true. That what is happening in 2025, 2026 in NDC actually did happen in 1999, 2000. People were jostling for their succession. The Julius Debra is going to exercise. Asiedu Nketia is doing thank you to, now he has stopped. Then you have, they say Kesela Akufo-Addo. Then Musa Dankwa starts the thing. Haruna Idrisu leaves for 6 months. Then Haruna Idrisu is thrown away. Then Akufo-Addo comes. It was these matters that concern John Mahama. These are the matters giving him concern. And that is the reason why some people who support John Mahama within the party are saying that let's have a third term. They held a press conference in Kumasi. I'm not talking about the imaginary people. NDC group held a press conference in Kumasi and said that given all what is happening, John Mahama must run for a third term. This is the same thing that was about Rawlings' third term. It's their own party matter. It's internal party matters that then bring third term. It's not an MPP or CPP or another political party agenda. And the history doesn't show that it was that in the year 2000. Now, this is 2026, isn't it? NDC document. Statement by the Council of Elders of the National Democratic Congress. The Council of Elders of National wishes to inform all members of the party and the general public that it held a meeting with H.E. John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic and leader of the NDC, on Friday, 29th May, following the extensive deliberations on the matters concerning party unity, discipline, blah, blah, blah. The council notes with concern the growing unease among sections of the party and the wider public regarding reports of premature presidential campaigns and related political activity by individuals and groups within the party. The council wishes to remind all members that NDC is currently focused on delivering. We don't have time to read all of it. This is what was happening in 1999, 2000. Whether Evans Mensah was born or not is immaterial. This is what is happening. This is the same thing. They are fighting for position. Council of Elders comes to write. Kwame Ahwoi says Rawlings was frustrated. Everybody is trying to collect some of the power. Everybody wants to be happy. Say, look, you people, I'll frustrate all of you. Mills is my chosen successor, full stop. Then everything died. Of course, Guzitano and the rest left. So this is what happened. It's an NDC internal problem. They should look for a solution for it. They shouldn't blame MPP that MPP are doing this and that and that. No, it's okay. We are done on this one. Please.